Good evening, everybody. After all of that, this is probably going to be very boring. So sorry in advance, okay? Just to give you a brief background on top of whatever Craig tried to introduce me as, I've been in cybersecurity for a little over 16, close to 17 years at this point in time. I started as a grunt. I started as a firewall engineer, and I worked my way up. And at some point, I shifted over to sales, and the dark side pays better, sorry. But over the years, you continue to learn, right? Like, it's 17 years of evolution. There's 40 years of evolution in IT, 17 years of cybersecurity. When I first got into cybersecurity, very few people actually knew what cybersecurity meant. I don't think that was a word back then. It was IT security. That's what we called ourselves. And most people didn't want to talk to you about it, okay? You had AVs, you had some basic firewalls, and mostly everybody just avoided you because all you did was cause problems, and you were the headache. You were the speed bump in the way things were meant to be. Today is a different story. Cybersecurity is sexy. Kids go to college and get cybersecurity degrees. It's amazing, okay? But as part and parcel of this growth in cybersecurity, it is unfortunately driven by some of the problems that we talk about, okay? I like this graphic. Our marketing guy is pretty jazzy. He found this for me, he built this for me, and when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that is a cybersecurity engineer, right? For those of you that do this as a line job or a day job, that's what you look like, whether it's actual physical or whether it's mental. You've got lots of things that you're trying to get a control of. You're looking at data all the time. You have anywhere from 3 to 5 consoles open at any given point of time that you're trying to figure out what's going on in the world today. Your boss's boss's boss only cares that the phone happens or the internet connection goes through, okay? Or somebody comes in and applies for a mortgage loan, depending on what kind of company you work for. All the stuff that happens in the background, to make sure that that happens securely, for those of you that work in this space, is very complicated, okay? And you have to deal with this all the time. It is not easy to do cybersecurity today. IT is fantastic. I have got smartphones that have pretty much my entire life. I can buy a house off of my smartphone. Did you know that? I did a mortgage 4 years ago. Pretty much 90% of it done was done over my phone. I didn't even have to go in, log into a computer, go to a desk, talk to a person. They eventually printed out like 400 sheets of paper and sent it to me because it's still mortgages. But, the entire process, that's what IT does, okay? But along with it comes a set of problems. And the big problems and the challenges that we face, okay, whether you're on the vendor side of the house, whether you're on the user side of the house, whether you're an analyst or a line engineer, is that we have got too much complexity. We've got too much data. We've got too many consoles, too many tools. We try, okay? We build systems, we build processes, we put policies together to try and make things easier. There are frameworks, lots of frameworks, by the way. Lots of regulatory compliance and things that tell you this is what you should try and do at minimum. And all it does is takes your work and makes it harder, okay? And unfortunately, we need to do it, but it's what it does. And sadly, here are some stats that kind of prove that despite all the advances and everything that we have done, all of the cool tooling we have done, we're still sort of lagging behind in the actual practice of cybersecurity, all right? 60% of all security incidents are due to a misconfiguration. I mean, think about it, right? We're humans, we make mistakes. These are tools. It's very easy to make mistakes in tools. The more complex a tool, the more likely you are to create an error, okay? Sometimes a 1 becomes a 0, and boom, you got a problem. Sometimes you click the wrong button. Sometimes you forgot to check the right button. Doesn't matter. You can create problems. Patching. For those of you that know, Center of Internet Security, 18. It used to be 10, became 20, now it's 18, okay? These are the 18 basic principles for good cybersecurity hygiene. Okay, it starts off with know what you have, discovery, right? Then it goes on to simple things like do patch management. Very basic shit. If you do patch management, 99.5% of all attacks will fail. 54% of organizations state that they have managed to achieve less than 50% of patching. This is a statistic, all right? So if in case you're wondering, when IT is so great, engineers are so cool, code is so fantastic, everybody's putting money into it, why do we still get headlines? This is why. We can't keep up with patching, okay? 60% of breaches are done using known vulnerabilities. I'll talk about a few examples down the road here. But it's like stuff from 2018. We've known about this mode of attack this particular vulnerability in a piece of code somewhere for 5 years. Every tool company out there has built a way to protect it. The people who own that software have built a way to patch it. And yet, it is being used in the year 2023 to successfully breach organizations. A few more stats. This is by Verizon. 74% of breaches are due to human error. Sorry. Yeah, we're awesome, but we're very fallible. Anybody seen the headline? I'm hoping everybody saw the headline about MGM, right? The big ransomware breach from about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, right? One engineer, probably very, very smart person, social engineering attack, one mistake in the type of tool and how he accessed that tool and when he clicked on it. And now you have MGM, massive brand, spends millions and millions and millions, in the tens of millions on cybersecurity, has lost 110 million per last estimate. Okay? They didn't have business for 2 weeks, and they're having to retool everything. It's that easy. By the way, they use Google Authenticator. This is one of the things that they're talking about root cause analysis, that it was because of using Google Authenticator. You could have bought an enterprise-grade two-factor authentication tool for MGM for less than 1% of what they just lost in the breach. Things to think about. But this is what happens in cybersecurity, right? It's business people running businesses and organizations that have to worry about the fact that we don't have enough people, we don't have enough money, and we still have to deal with a lot of this stuff. By the way, the people, like a lot of folks in this room and in this building and in this area, we're trying to address the last part. It's good. We're still very far behind. But, you know, shortage of talent is a thing. So please keep doing this. Couple of big examples on the premise of what I was talking about. Microsoft Equation Editor. Okay, this is an Office 2013 vulnerability. It's been long patched. It's easy to protect against. Your antivirus should be able to do this. Your next-gen endpoint security tool should be able to do it. Your EDR, endpoint detection and response, for those of you who are not acronym friendly, should be able to handle this. Your firewall 100% should be able to block this. 3 massive organizations, these are not tiny, these are not mom and pop shops, they're US companies, breached in 2023. That CVSS is 8.8. By most policy and process standards, anything over an 8 is supposed to get patched. Maybe it doesn't get patched tomorrow, but it's supposed to get patched within the month. Okay, Livingston, multi-billion-dollar sort of corporate hedge fund kind of thing, finance, right? The city of Dallas, okay, their state government, I'll give them a pass. It's tough to work in state and local government. Stanley Electric, pretty much everybody should know that name. They got breached this year, okay? Simple vulnerability that should not ever, ever have been taken advantage of. Another example, the Folina vulnerability. This one's a CVSS 7.8. Why does the CVSS score matter? At any given point of time right now outside in the wild, there's about 300,000 known software vulnerabilities, give or take, right? 99% of the time, about 20,000 of them matter, because hopefully we're still not running IT systems that were written in 1999, for example. There are people who are, but for the most part, we're not, right? So there's 20,000 that are valid. So good policy or good practice is that you use the CVSS score, and this is changing. There's something called EPSS. We can talk about that. But you use the CVSS score to sort of prioritize. Anything that's 8 and high, or so if it's 9.5 and high, patch it tomorrow morning. Or don't go to sleep, patch it now. Okay? 8.5 and higher, try to get it done this week. 8 and higher, try to get it done this month. Less than that, you just put it on a regular cycle, you know, desktop support, whatever. Get the patched out. Which means 7.8 means it hit that other window. So maybe there was a month, maybe 2 months, where this was not patched. And that little symbol over there is Ukraine. And so if you guys remember, the Russians used this particular vulnerability to get into the electrical grid of Ukraine and take it down, right? That's a problem. This can happen. And they use, you know, oil and gas, electrical manufacturers, they use old code. They're not sexy. They're not on Windows 11, whatever. So you have to worry about stuff like this. ABB is a very, very large, very, very expensive, Fortune 2000 global brand out of Switzerland. They got taken down, okay? Where am I leading to with this? And I think that's, I guess, the big point, is it's challenging to be good at cybersecurity. We have tooling. We have great people. We have lots of known knowledge. We have practices. We have as I said, frameworks. Lots of frameworks, good frameworks. But it's time consuming. Doing cybersecurity is boring. For the most part, to be very effective at it, it's not a sexy job, okay? For those of you that are trying to get into cybersecurity that see movies and think this is code analysis, no. 99% of us are just clicking buttons and trying to push stuff to computers. It's boring, it's time consuming. We don't have enough time. We get pulled into projects all the time. Hey guys, everybody, we're putting up a new AV system. Drop everything you've got going on right now. But I got critical patches, not important. AV system, okay? We're having SKO next week. We're having InfoSecon next week. Super important. Forget those damn patches. Limited resources, we've talked about this. Limited resources, okay? Knowledge gaps. Knowledge gaps is a big thing. You would think IT people were super smart, super knowledgeable. But here's the problem. It's too complicated. We can't keep up, okay? If you're a firewall admin and you know Checkpoint Software Technologies firewall, there are 7 current variants of code that you would need to learn how to configure. If you're Fortinet, there are 3 more or 4 more. If you're a Palo Alto user, there's another 5 or 6. That's just 3 major firewalls. Then you have endpoint security tools. You have Windows, many versions of that. Okay, what kind of OS are you looking at? Application layer stuff. There's a lot. And as you do more with less, as you are a person that puts on multiple hats, you have to be good at everything. You can't be like, I'm awesome at checkpoints, really don't know Palo. I happen to have both those firewalls. So I'll do great at one and mediocre at the other. Now you open up a hole, there's a gap. All right, so these are the challenges we face. So, to the topic of the day, this is where AI and automation has been given a lot of money. As you know, the way the world works, there has to be money to be made or saved for money to be invested. Okay? People got tired, companies got tired of losing data, of being breached, of having to pay to, because, let's see, I've got, at this point in time, in 16 years of doing this, I have received a letter in the mail 32 times that my data has been lost and that I can sign up for security credit verification. Okay? Imagine how much those companies paid. Even if it was $10 per person, 50 million a year, 50 million records a year, it's a lot, it adds up. So they said, go do better. People, go do better. VC, do better. That's what we're doing too. We're working with artificial intelligence, machine learning. You'll hear many variations of this, but the point is we're trying to use advanced techniques to do better, with less, to do faster, to allow machines to do a lot of the work that humans have done thus far, okay? You can see this little breakdown that was presented by the IDC. It talks about automating the mundane, patching, automating the mundane, basic stuff, okay? Did you roll your passwords every 90 days? Are you using complex passwords or not? Who logged in? When did you log in? That's mundane tasks, okay? Up-leveling security professional. This is your next-gen data analytics, next-gen SOAR. If something happens, go ahead, do a memory capture, run it by these 14 tools, send it off to this guy, quarantine that machine, do it all automatically. That happens on that end, okay? And obviously, we're talking about reactive versus proactive. Hopefully, everybody knows what those mean, but reactive means we wait for something bad to happen, and then a torrent of things take place. Proactive means we're trying to make sure that we avoid bad things from happening, so we're going to try and do some fancy machine learning and analytics around that. This is Gartner's quadrant, okay, Security 101 from quite a few years ago. According to them, in order to be effective at security, you need to have 4 principles. You identify, you protect. Identify and protect can become proactive and prevent, doesn't matter, it's a nomenclature. But the idea is you're doing basics, and this is all part of the pre-breach. This is before you've been taken down, before ransomware came through, before data was lost. This is what you want to do. You want to identify all your weaknesses, you want to identify your risks, you want to figure out what you have, what you don't have, all of that jazz, and then you want to go ahead and start protecting, whether it's patch management, whether it's deploying a firewall, turning on an IPS. Please turn on the IPS. Lots of people buy firewalls, don't turn on the IPS. It's kind of pointless. And then you move to the post-breach, which is, we'll do our best. Maybe we will be secure 95% of the time. Maybe we're going to secure 99.5% of the time. Maybe 99.99% of the time. There's still going to be a small variable where you're going to get hit. And when you get hit, make sure that you have systems in place that allows you very, very quickly detect. When I started, the average time that a attacker stayed in a network was 18 months. Okay, so really stealthy attackers stayed in large enterprises for 18 months without anybody knowing about it. Over the years, we've become better and better, and now the average is closer to a few weeks. It's still not seconds, folks. It's weeks, okay? But it's way better than 18 months. And we're trying to make that gap smaller, okay? And then finally is the respond part, right? It's fantastic that we found something bad, but what are you going to do about it? And how quickly can you get to it before your entire enterprise is taken down, before all of your data is lost, before you're sending that letter to me that says, sorry, VC, we lost your social security number again. You know, go ahead and sign up for credit protection. I'm like, everybody knows. There are probably 12 loans out there in my name. It's too late, okay? So now I'm going to move a little bit. I had a lot of numbers that were supposed to be over here. We're an Israeli company. I'm going to apologize. We're an Israeli company. My data scientists were supposed to give me 3 more slides with just had numbers, all math stuff for the math nerds in here. Didn't happen for obvious reasons. But if I do get to send this out, I'll make sure those numbers are included so you have it for you, okay? So we at Veriti, we come from the cybersecurity vendor space, okay? So our founders are Israeli Defense Force. They were black hat, red hat, gray hat, blue hat. You pick enough hat, they've done it, okay? They tried to hack countries, and they tried to defend the country from being hacked. They eventually moved into the commercial space, and they worked for a cybersecurity software company. And so they learned about things like how to build nice UIs and reporting, okay, and price gap analysis. This is very important stuff in the delivery of actual code. You would be astonished how important it is to understand business and sales in order for us to be secure. But what we wanted to focus on was in this pack, okay, this little bit, this portion. Why? There's a lot of good tooling out there. There's a lot of sexy marketing out there that talks about XDR. Everybody heard about XDR, MDR, EDR? There's a DR for you out there, okay? There's a lot of AI in the back end of that. There's a lot of machine learning and analytics and automation in that. But they're all focused on the post-breach aspect of your problems, right? They're focused on somebody walked in, somebody installed code, somebody did something. It's now your turn to make sure they don't steal everything. Too late. Sorry, too late. Okay, we need to roll back. We need to move. Like shift left is a big, nice new tag word in the world of IT. So we need to move left. Okay, we can do great stuff with post-breach, but post-breach should matter for that 0.001% of incidents, alerts, events, what have you. 99.99% should belong to pre. I should be identifying problems way before they're taken advantage of. I should be fixing those problems quickly. What's stopping me from doing so? We talked about it, right? So let's go ahead and automate it. Let's go ahead and apply some machine learning. Let's go apply some AI. Let's go apply some of these advanced correlation engines and heuristics to that problem, okay? So that I can go ahead and do that patch management better. I can do that IPS activation better. I can do the IOC building for an EDR tool better and quicker. I can get, if Microsoft releases a 0-day on Tuesday and your vendor releases a signature in 2 hours, that signature should be on all of your firewalls or all of your endpoints in 2.5 hours. How do we get to that point? Not 2 days, not 2 weeks, 2.5 hours, right? I think that's a reasonable time frame. We're in IT. I can see movies in that kind of time. It should be easy. All right. So this is the problem that Veriti decided to take on. Okay. And what we build, by the way, this is iteration 15 of what this tool is. So bear with me. It's a very cool name. Gartner decided that this is what we are, and we decided Gartner knows best. So automated security controls optimization. We started with security posture management. I thought that made total sense. Okay. Here's the deal. You have tools that do vulnerability scanning. There's a lot of companies that do amazing scans, and they apply AI and logic to tell you, here are the most important vulnerabilities that you should worry about. Okay, problem has been solved. You can go buy one of those tools and use them to handle that. But if I know that there's a vulnerability that's important to me, I've got 2 actions that I can take. I can patch it, or I can apply a compensating control. Okay, a compensating control for the layperson here is a security tool. Could be a firewall, could be some sort of signature that you're deploying on an endpoint, in an email, in an iOS, in a WAF, doesn't matter. But the idea is, it's faster to do this than it is to patch. Why is it faster to do this than it is to patch? Anybody, any volunteers? Anybody who's taken down a network because they patched? Good, right? So it's easier to do this because I can do this in 2.5 hours. If I try to patch in 2.5 hours, chances are it'll take me a month to bring the business back to life. Okay, so how about I take all of these toolings and I grab all of the information that these toolings have. Okay, what did you buy? How did you configure it? You know, east, west, north, south, this IP range to that IP range is allowed. This person can talk to Facebook, that person cannot talk to Facebook. You've got a bunch of rules that you're doing, that your organization is putting out there to protect you. Okay, we're gonna gather all of that, all of it. We're also gonna gather all that data that the fancy next-gen vulnerability scanner provided us. That says, here are all your exposed vulnerabilities. These are all your servers. Here's all your exposed vulnerabilities. Go ahead, compile this. We're going to take some threat intel stuff out there. There's a lot of feeds. I'll give you one that is currently a little sexy. Like, cybersecurity is very sexy. Please pay attention to this. It's called SysAkev. Okay? SysAkev sounds cool because the US federal government really knows how to put acronyms together. What it means is known exploitable vulnerabilities. These are vulnerabilities that exist in the wild that people are taking advantage of to hack you. There's about 1,000 right now. It's a small list. It's manageable. You would be astonished to find out that out of that 1,000, only 500 are actively controlled for by most security vendors. 500 are old, esoteric. There's only 2 or 3 instances of it, so nobody bothered to put their signature. Sort of important to know, right? People are using this, but we don't know, we don't pay attention, and we don't potentially control for it. So grab that information, run it through our, what should I call this? Our churning machine. Okay, this is where all of the fancy stuff happens. This is where the people who are way, way, way smarter than me, who have degrees in advanced mathematics and statistics and probability, and who understand how code talks, they sit down and they build these weird engines. And they take all of that stuff and they put it together, and then they say, now how do humans typically consume this when you're in the world of cybersecurity? Okay, and then it gets chucked out, and it tries to solve a series of problems that allows that line engineer, that admin, that team lead, that director, whoever of security, to understand, what is my true risk? What do I need to work on right this second? How quickly can I move to that compensating control factor? And how much can I automate this entire process? So that instead of taking 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 hours, 2 days, doesn't matter, can I get this done in a matter of 30 minutes? 30 minutes. Get up at 9 in the morning, pop into this little thing. It says, here are the 5 things that you need to worry about today. Click, click, click. You're done. Go. Set up that AV system for InfoSecon. You don't have to worry about your patches. I got your back. All right? So that's the idea. Okay? What's our time here? Do we have time? Do people like stories? Okay. Stories, right? I like stories. Stories drive home morals. So I've got 4 potential problems that I have seen faced by customers of ours. Number 1, database being blocked. Okay? This one is an interesting one. A hospital that will remain anonymous has a division that makes money. It's one of the few divisions in a hospital that make money because, by the way, hospitals don't make money. Okay? Orthopedic surgery makes money. Artificial insemination departments, the things that help people get pregnant that insurance does not cover, they make money. ERs don't make money. ICUs don't make money. So the department that collects semen, sperm, in order to facilitate how this business is driven, uses a very simple code on a laptop to take information. This person's name, social security number, date of birth. We verified his license. We know he's not a known criminal. We're good to collect semen. Then it goes and it gets written in a database. It's a simple SQL database. Nothing fancy. We've been doing this for about 25 years. No rocket science involved. 3 months, not a single record has been saved. Not a single record has been saved, right? What ends up happening? We go in, we put our software into play, it scans all the various systems, and it comes out and says, guys, you've done security incredibly well. You deployed an IPS signature. Bravo. Good job. That IPS signature unfortunately thought that your homegrown application that collects data was trying to attack your database because you wrote shitty code. So we blocked it. You paid out a lot of money for 3 months of semen that you cannot use. Congratulations. Okay? Like, stuff like this happens. This is reality. Welcome to IT security. Guess what? If you're that fire in the wall engineer, you're getting a talking to. What's wrong with you, man? Okay? You're getting a talking to. You don't want to be that guy. Latency on firewall. Everybody knows this one, okay? Well, maybe the new people don't know, because I grew up on T1 lines, okay? Latency was a thing. You hit a browser and you waited. You went, you made coffee, you came back, oh, halfway done. Put some sugar, came back, all right, there's the page. Wait, what is that graphic? Okay, we'll go out, we'll do some more work, I'll print some stuff. Page is loaded, okay? Latency is a thing, today too. Now today when you have a gig circuit, a 10 gig circuit, latency is very obvious. This should be super fast. I get 8K video when I am watching movies while at work. Why is this 720p? What the hell is going on? Firewall guy, what you doing? Latency. I'm supposed to get 8K. I got a high definition monitor here. Go in, tell the firewall guy, by the way, it's a different example, but you know, this happens. So you go in, you tell the firewall guy, got latency. Firewall guy goes in, looks at all the logs, looks at the settings, says, nope, you're not blocked. Your traffic's going through. We did a bunch of pings. We did a bunch of TCP routes. You're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm telling you, man, it's 720p. I know what I'm doing. I always get 8K. Now it's 720p. How are you going to prove this? You're the firewall guy. You're used to getting yelled at, by the way. This is a beautiful profession. If you're super patient, you want to learn to be patient, be a firewall guy. You get yelled at a lot. So how do you prove it's not me or it is me, right? So we do this. We do this for an organization. In this particular instance, it was because they were dropping GoToMeeting voice. And the CEO got really pissed because he uses GoToMeeting a lot. He's trying to raise money. And he says, all the time, I'm talking to investors and my calls get cut off, right? Go to the firewall guy. Everything is fine. GoToMeeting is actually on the allow list. I don't see a single drop in any of the logs. We show up. We put this in. About 12 hours later, we say, you've got a backup server that kicks off every 4 hours. You're trying to inspect that backup server. It's fully encrypted, by the way. It's jumbo frames, massive stream of data. It causes the firewall CPU to get to 96%. When a firewall CPU gets to 96%, by the way, a firewall is a fancy word for it's a server. When it gets to 96%, it says, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Wait a second. So, you know, sip and wipe, highly jitter sensitive, they get dropped. CEO gets pissed off. Firewall guy gets a talking to. Right? This is your life. So these are things that impact your ability to do security. Because when this happens, you're scared 50 times to Sunday to turn something on. When this happens, you're like, maybe I just opened the firewall wide open because I don't want my CEO calling me ever again. Okay? If it gets breached, it's okay. So there's no confidence, right? Because we're scared of taking down the business. We shouldn't be. And that's what some of the things that our software is trying to do. It's trying to predict this behavior, identify this behavior proactively so that users can get ahead of these problems and solve for them. Security gap exploit, pretty self-explanatory, right? You don't want this one ever to happen. This particular story, not a super sad one, but not a nice one either. We go in, we've been in for about 12 hours, we see some signaling. We explain to the security administrator that we're seeing some calls that should not be happening, your firewall is yelling, you're not paying attention. These are amazingly smart people. They get paid a lot. They've got incredibly expensive tools that work extremely well. They say, we know what we're doing, wait. Okay, so we wait. About 14 hours later, call comes back to my CEO, says, what the hell did you do? Why, what happened? Well, we got ransomware on those 4 servers. We didn't do anything. Okay, we don't introduce ransomware in your system. We're a diagnostic tool. We sit on the side, we look at stuff. So when you don't pay attention to signals that your tools give you, bad things can happen, right? But it's a human nature thing. It's like, okay, what's more important right now? CEO is yelling at me. I'll wait when that alert shows up in my email, on my text message. I'll wait 15 minutes. I'll wait an hour. Compulsory meeting, right? Everybody's a fan of meetings. I have about 6 of those a day with my boss. He's like, you should go out and sell. I'm like, I would, except you keep putting me in meetings. Do you want to take care of this, or do you want to do the meeting? Right? That becomes the issue. Critical vulnerabilities, I'm not going to talk about. I mean, these are kind of obvious. The worst case scenario that we have had to face with this one is where this is an electric generation company, power company, and they use windmills. And windmills, this is operational technology. I don't know what code is running on the windmill, but it's probably the same thing that's running on a Samsung Galaxy from 2008. So it's not super awesome software. The code is, it's just like, hey, turn on, turn off, say I'm on, say I'm off. That's all it does. So it's easy to get into it, right? We recognize that those vulnerabilities exist. We inform the client that these things have not been patched for like 5 years. And your firewall says it's wide open. There's no inspection happening. You've got a rule that says any allow for that subnet. Okay, because it's turbines, who cares? If they took it away, we don't lose data. If they took it away, there's no PII or PHI or whatever. I don't have to go to Sarbanes-Oxley. I don't have to go to anybody to complain about this. They take down a turbine. Except when they take down a turbine, you stop making money if you're an electric company. So they took down the turbines, and they didn't have electricity generation for 2 days. They lost $14 million. Sort of important stuff. Day in the life of a cybersecurity professional. Okay, so those are stories. Okay, questions, comments, please let me know. Hopefully, I heard a few giggles, so it can't be too bad. Sorry if I'm keeping you too long. I'm just going to run you through some use cases. And by the way, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, so if you want to ask me something or stop me, please do so. I should have started with that. So this is my UI. It's pretty, isn't it? There's purple and all that kind of stuff. So in this particular instance, we're connected to 2 tools. For those of you that can read it, it's Microsoft Defender. This is an quote-unquote endpoint security tool that Microsoft provides to its customers. And there's F5, which is a web access firewall. In this environment, there's a lot of other tools, but those 2 tools together, combined, created a particular insight. This insight says 97 hosts are vulnerable to that particular CVE. If you scroll down, which you won't because this is just a screenshot, there's a whole bunch of information about what CVE 2023-21716 is. It tells you what the 97 hosts are. But here's the critical thing. Hey guys, your protection is inactive. Now, maybe there's a reason. Maybe that admin wants to get rid of these hosts. And so he says, if I don't protect them, they get hosed and I get to buy new servers. Maybe I get to upgrade to 2020. In which case, more power to you, brother. But the idea is, simple stuff. We want to bubble this up to you. Because this is very simple stuff. You should have seen this. You should know this. But apparently you didn't. All right, so we'll help you do it. This is slightly more complicated. Okay? This we call false positive detection. This is a very extensive algorithmic-based machine learning-based algorithm. That's what it is. Okay? That looks for whether or not a security tool incorrectly identifies a particular type of packet as an attack. Okay? It took them 11 months to train this particular algorithm. Again, I'm not a data science guy, so probably there's a bunch of math involved in this. But it was pretty effective. And the idea is, can we identify when somebody is being blocked by something, whether or not that is genuinely an attack. All right? If you are an analyst, when this shows up in your SIM or in your log collector or whatever tool you use, you're going to say, somebody attacked me, and my security tool stopped it. Unfortunately, what actually happened is your security tool stopped an actual business application. You probably want to know about it before CEO calls you. Okay? So that was the idea behind this, is that we're able to help you identify these kind of patterns that reduce your ability to be confident in what you're doing as a security professional, so that you can walk forward boldly and say, yes, I'm going to turn stuff on, because if something goes wrong, my tool, somebody else's tool, it doesn't matter. Automation will come in, advanced analytics will come in and tell me, hold your horses, let's work on this, right? So that you can do security better, so that you're not part of those silly statistics that end up losing companies $110 million in a month. Here's another one, similar story. This one is called resource utilization. You will find that every once in a while, code will misbehave. It will take up a lot of CPU. And when code takes up a lot of CPU, it stops normal function. You quickly want to be able to identify why that CPU was up, whether it's on a laptop, whether it's on a firewall, it doesn't matter. Okay? You want to know what caused it to happen. And so very quickly, we're able to show you, here are the sessions, here are the DLLs, here are the protections that are causing resource overutilization. Check it out. If it's important, maybe add a few more CPUs to the server. If it's not important, maybe consider dropping it. But the idea is get ahead of this so that you can do good security. The last one, I personally love this one. This is what I call stupid-proof security. If you are a fan of Twitter or LinkedIn, the nice thing about being in cybersecurity is you get news articles a lot. Okay? And they will tell you, here's the latest thing that somebody's doing effectively out there. Now, when you're a cybersecurity professional, you're interested, you will research it, you will look it up, and then you will go to sleep. When you're the board of directors who doesn't know anything about IT, you will panic. And you will call the CISO and say, hey guys, I just heard about this WannaCry crap, or this Log4j or Log4Shell or some gate that just came out. Are we good? How are we doing? CISO goes, we're totally cool. Turns around, calls firewall guys. Hey, director of infrastructure security, are we good? Desktop operations. Dude, are we good? Endpoint security team. Are we good? SOC team. Hey, anybody know anything about this? And then you wait. And maybe 24 hours go by, because those guys have jobs, right? They're doing other things that are more important. Not really. They do their best. And in about 24 to 48 hours, they come back and say, maybe. Okay, next time just plug it in. I'm connected to your servers. I'm connected to your security tools. I'm connected to your scanner. I've got all the data I need. I'll tell you, hey, good news. You have 0 servers that are vulnerable to this CVE. Bad news. 27 security assets are doing nothing to protecting you against those attacks. Maybe you want to take a look at it. So this is the idea, okay? The idea is, can I use automation? Can I use, quote unquote, AI? By the way, no AI, right? Everybody knows there's no AI right now. We don't have AI. Machine learning, advanced analytics, whatever you want to call it. Can we use it to make our lives easier? Can we use it to make our work easier, to do it faster? But more importantly, can we make sure that because of that, we're able to do security better, right? Because that's what this room is for. Cybersecurity professionals for the most part. So that's the idea. I leave you with 3 stats. This is based on 18 months of survey data from our customers. We have improved the security posture of all of our clients by 66%. By the way, just so you understand how maths work, if you were 20 and I took you to 30, that's 66%. We do better, but just so you know. It takes 12 seconds for us to remediate. Your typical analyst that has to decide whether or not something is a false positive, depending on how sophisticated they are and what kind of tools they are, will take somewhere from 25 minutes to 6 hours. 12 seconds. Root cause analysis for downtimes, reduced by 87%. That's the idea. Give you back time, allow you to do work better. And that's it. Thank you. For those of you I put to sleep, very sorry. But if you want to come out, I'll buy you a bourbon. Any questions? Please.
So you mentioned that time to remediate is 12 seconds. Is it time to remediate or time to identify?
Time to remediate. So you got an insight. I presented an insight to you. You read the insight. I gave you enough data so that you could make a decision. You clicked the button, and we were done. 12 seconds.
So is it? So you are not talking about the recommendation. You are talking about the remediation.
Yeah. So from you arriving at the insight, you arriving at the little piece of data that says, we found this, here are all the reasons, here's all the data you need, to you making a decision and clicking and fixing that problem takes 12 seconds. Now, to clicking the button takes 12 seconds. Now, the server on the other end may take 2 minutes to respond to you. Yes. That'll be 2 minutes and 12 seconds, different story. But taking an action is pretty quick.
Yes, taking an action.
Yeah. Okay. All good? To barbecue, bourbon, and cigars. Thank you.